Okay, so our next query is all about how many product types there are in each invoice. So if we have a look at our previous result set, we will see that we have these invoices, and each invoice has a number of different products on it. Some of them have one of each, some of them have two of each. So this, for example, 35007 would have three different types of products on it, even though it has actually 6 products on the invoice. So what we'd like to know is just how many different types of products people buy at a time. So if I have a look back at the question, the number of product types in each invoice, then you can see that it's very closely related to our previous query. So what we can do is we can alter our previous query, and we can use a group by again, because we're going to be counting up the lines in each invoice. So if we go back to having a look at this, you can see that we've got 35007 has 3 lines, and so what we need actually is a count of how many lines are in that invoice. So what we're going to need to do is group it by the invoice number. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's go back to our just going back to our SQL. It's losing the SQL there for a moment. So we're not going to need, we might have the invoice number and the invoice date. We don't need the email address and the product number and the description or the unit price or the quantity now. We can remove all of those. What we do need is a count, as we have done before. Now we don't want to just leave it as count. We want to actually give it an alias as. So what we'll do is we'll say count as product types, because that's what we're counting up. And then we'll leave the join the same way, because we're still using those 3 tables. But instead of having this order by down here, we can, that's interesting, copied it for me. So what we can do is we can group by i.invoice number, and what that will do is group those, like condense those invoices together so that they are grouped together by invoice number, and then it will count how many lines were in that group. And we don't want a semicolon there, we want a semicolon here. And we're going to order it by invoice number as well. We could order it by anything else we wanted to. And let's see how that goes. Okay. So now you can see we've got our invoice numbers. If we go down to this one, it's 3 as we expected, and this is the different amount of product types. So it's not the count of how many products are in a particular invoice. Okay, so we're actually going to do that in query 15. So I'm actually going to, in my recording, I'm going to jump forward to query 15 now so that I don't have to do all the typing for the query. But it's sometimes good to look ahead and see what you have to do and whether queries can be related to other queries, because that might save you some time. Anyway, that we go back to our question, the number of product types in each invoice. We just did that. So they're not just buying one type of product in an invoice. Generally, they're buying more than one type of product in an invoice. And that's query 12.